Welcome everyone. Today we're having a guide video on Losak homing, and in this video what we're going to focus on is to home into 1370. And in order to prepare you guys, I have prepared another Excel, and this one is a little messy with a lot of data, but it should be very helpful. And after that, we also have some notes. So let me briefly talk about Excel and also the notes and get into the video. So what I want to do is I want to prepare you guys for any stage of your leveling between, let's say, if you're 1340, if you're 1355, you want to get to 1370, right? So in order to prepare that, the Excel will help you to determine how much material you want to save, and we are using the simulated expected numbers of attempts with homing. So basically this will show you, in order to get to plus 15, this is how much of the red destruction stones you have to save, and this is how much of the lip stones you have to save. So let me zoom in a little bit to help better seeing this. So basically we're estimating the cost of materials per level, and we're also estimating the cost of total materials for any of your level. Let's say if you currently have plus 6 or plus 7 of your weapon. So in order to have all the materials for plus 15, you will need about 12,000 of the red stones. So this is an estimation. And also you need about 380 of your lip stones. We'll talk about using radar materials as well. So this will give you a better summary of at any stage what materials and how much materials you need to get to plus 15. And to add a little more of that, so I also added a little table here for the market rate. So basically, if you're preparing the materials, that's good. And if you're preparing the gold, that can also work, because here we have the gold cost of those materials. And basically, this is how much in cost of gold it will cost you to prepare everything to plus 15. And this should help you prepare into the game as well. I also have done similar methods with the armor, and also 5 times the cost of armor, because we do have 5 armors. So I'll briefly explain about the details of the Excel with you guys. Very excited, and this should be very helpful to prepare you for any stage from 1340, 1355 into 1370, which will be our next part of the content for the aggros patch, and also a lot of raids and a lot of more loots to come. Now, similar to all of our videos, I'll make the Excel available for you guys in the Google Excel, and also the notes over here. We'll talk about this on the second part. Some of those additional tips on getting to 1370, what are the things you should be aware, and just some insights I want to share with you guys based on the Excel and other numbers as well. So let's come over to our new cost estimation Excel. Now, unfortunately guys, I didn't make the UI too friendly, so you have to just bear with me with the data. Let's say if you're looking at the target level 7, so make sure you just select the bar 7, just click over here, and it will kind of help you highlight. I have lined them up equally. There is a lot of data, but once I explain it, this should be much easier to understand. So this Excel, you don't have to input anything, but if you do want to input anything, you can input the market price, not auction house price, the market price of items that is in your server. So basically, let's say if in my server currently it is Guardian Stones 25 gold, Destruction Stones 63 gold, what will come over here is we can input those numbers in, and this Excel will calculate how much gold you have to prepare to get to everything to plus 15 for your account at any level of your stage, whether you're plus 7 with your gear or you're plus 15 with your gear. So those are the only things you want to input if you do want to estimate the market price. So this is because you save a lot of gold. You want to know how close you are, right? Now, similar to all of Excels, if you guys do want to input values into the Excel, what you want to do is come over to Files and also select Make a Copy. And once you made a copy, you can input those values yourself. And also for this particular Excel, there's a lot of more tables and a lot of more numbers to be worked on. And there's also a homing calculator, which is going to be very useful. So basically for this one, I'll make this one share to you guys. If you guys want to know what this is about, we do have the video guide about using this entire Excel. So over here, you only see the first page of the Excel, right? So this is the video based on. But also for the other parts, if you want to have a look at the guides and also tips, definitely check out this video, which I teach you guys how to use Excel. And this will be helping you dramatically, because on the second part, I'll be explaining my theories of crafting and series of homing and how I do it, because I use the Excel and also the data. So make sure if you want to know more features of this Excel, who Chalia made it for us, which is big thank you to him. So definitely check out other parts that's available for the Excel. Now coming over to the table over here, we'll focus on those two tables first, and once you understand the weapon part, the armor part is very similar. So basically on the first table, this helps you estimate how much of the red destruction stones you will need from plus 6 to plus 7. it's expected to cost you about 408. So this is using the simulation and also values friend Chalia also predicted earlier. So basically, at any level, let's say if you're preparing your red destruction stones, you expect to cost about 523 destruction stones and 16 lipstones to go from +7 to +8. This is without using radar materials. Now, let's say if you're using radar materials, so you can pretty much halve the cost of those. So let's say if you're using radar materials for +14 to +15, you probably need about 1,300 of the red destruction stones compared to the 2,500 over here. So I didn't put in the radar materials because some of you might have a lot, some of you might not. So if you're using all the radar materials, you can halve the cost. Now, because this first table is predicting the cost from level 7 to level 8 and then level 8 to level 9, I thought I'd make a cumulative cost for you guys. So coming over to the second table, basically, let's say if your items are +6, you want to get to +7, but eventually you get to +15, right? So at +6 to the +7 at this stage, it will cost you about 12,000 red destruction stones to go all the way to +15. Of course, this is a high estimate because this assumes that you don't use any radar materials, which is not true, right? Because in the later stage, you'll use radar materials. So just bear in mind, you probably don't need 12,000, you probably need about 10,000, 8,000 redstones. So the numbers here are a little overestimated because it is easier to calculate without using the radar materials. So don't prepare this much of the red destruction stones early on, but maybe prepare like 50 or 60% of those. Let's say if you prepare 8,000 of your destruction stones at level 7, that could work. So basically this shows the cumulative total amount of materials you will need to go from your current level. Let's say if all your gears is +10, then you need to go +11 to +15, right? So this estimate, you probably need about 9,000 of the total destruction stones to go from +10 to +15 for your weapon. And this also shows the lipstones. So those are estimations over here. And again, guys, those doesn't consider you using radar materials. If you are using radar materials for the weapons, you can halve all of those values by 50% because radar materials will give you the double bonus success rate, right? So now if we come over to the next two tables on the side, those are very straightforward table. So the third table, which is going to be this one, I know the UI is really clunky. This third table actually reflects on this table. Instead of showing you the cost of numbers of item that is needed, this one basically multiplies the market price and shows you the cost of gold. Let's say the cost of gold for the red destruction stones, you will be 2,500 gold. And for the lipstones, if you're buying them, you'll be 3,500 gold. So the total cost over here basically shows you how much in cost of gold it will cost you to obtain those materials. So instead of collecting materials, you can be sitting on gold and prepare to get to +15. And similarly over here, this one basically shows the cumulative cost of gold of everything. Let's say if you're +6 right now, if you want to use gold to buy everything to get your weapon to +15 without using any rate ups, it'd be really expensive. So we'll be looking at close to 1,800,000 gold, basically from +6 to +15 for the weapon. But no one buys lipstones, right? So those are just summarized values to show you that if you're going to buy those items, the cumulative cost from any level to level 15. And this one shows the single level. So if your weapon is +10 to get to +11 without rate ups, this is how much gold it will cost you for each of those materials. So hopefully this is like a brief summary, and hopefully you can see this data can be very helpful because at any stage you can know how much materials you want to prepare for the weapon. And similarly, all the tables over here are the same method for the armor. Let's say if my armor is +10 right now, I want to get to +11. This is how much of the materials I'm expected to use without radar materials. Now, because with my homing guide and everything, we also don't use much homing materials for the armor, so the table for the armor is much more accurate. Now, during the recording, I actually realized I had some typos in the formulas. So just to give you guys a basic summary of how to use this table, we'll use an example for armor. So let's say if my armor is +10 right now, I want to go from +11. So this is how much of the blue stones, the lipstones, and everything I have to prepare from +10 to +11 at this particular level. So you can select the cell over here and you can see the data over here. And this is what I need to prepare just to go for one level. But what if you want to prepare all the materials from +10 to +11 all the way to +15 for one piece of armor? So this will show you the cumulative value, basically adding all the costs beyond this part. So basically from level 10 to level 15, this is how much of the materials you will need. And if we come to the next one, this is how much gold you need for one level from plus 10 to level 11. And over here, this is how much of the total gold you will need for one piece of armor for each of those ingredients if you're planning to buy them from the market. Now, if you're not planning to buy them from the market, you don't have to pay for the lipstones. And similarly, you don't have to pay for the honor shard if you're not buying them from the market. So this just gives you a summary of the cost from one single level to cumulative cost. And here, this summarizes the one single level of materials or the total of materials. And similarly, if you're preparing for 5 pieces of armor, the cost of those items will be multiplied by 5 times. So let's say if I'm going from level 10 to level 11 for 5 pieces of armor, this is how much it will cost me in terms of expected materials. And sometimes it will cost a little more, sometimes it will cost a little less. But usually, on average, those will be estimated cost of your items. And similarly, this is the total cost to get all your armor from plus 10 to plus 15. And this is the cost of how much blue destruction stones you might want to prepare. And this is assuming that you don't use radar materials. And finally over here, you can see the total cost of in gold per level and total cost of gold from level 10 to level 15 for all 5 pieces of the armors. And of course, guys, I don't think we'll be buying a lot of lipstones this way, so you can ignore the cost of estimated lipstone cost. But if you're preparing for the blue destruction stones, this will be the gold cost from level 10 to level 11, or from level 10 to level 15 for all pieces of armors. And it's about 70,000 given the current market rate, which is actually slightly cheaper than what I expected. Now, what you can take away from this table is this will help you to prepare the number of materials you needed for your weapon, and this will help you to prepare the number of materials you needed for your armor. And because you'll be using radar materials, so if you decide to use the radar materials, you can prepare a little less, because just aim to prepare 50% of this if you're using radar materials. But if you're not using radar materials, like the armor for me, so you can prepare close to this number. And in case you do over prepare, which, I don't want you guys to over prepare too much, but in case you do over prepare, you will also need a lot of those for the next tier of upgrade. So notice I got to 1385. So you still need a lot of those items for the next level upgrade. So in case you over prepare, don't feel too bad. But if you're under prepared, this should help you estimate at least how much you need. Hopefully you guys over prepared, because that means you got really lucky with your homing rates. Now, coming over to the second part, I also have some tips and also advices I want to share with you guys for homing to 1370. And over here, you can see we have some of the previous guide videos that is linked to the notes over here. So basically, check out in the description if you want additional information on those. For example, how to use Mario Secret Shop for a massive discount, and how to do your tier 3 homing to 1370. And also basically the simulations of where I got my data from, and also, different methods. So make sure you guys do check out those links if you want additional information on each of those parts, because those videos will explain them longer and also more in depth. Well, the first one is quite straightforward. When we have talked about this previously, is what you expect here with tier 3 homing. We expected to fail about 140 times in total from plus 6 to plus 15. So expect to fail a lot, guys. I think I failed at least 130 to 140 times in total, and I've heard friends who failed at least 130 times. So here, if you want a summary of how many times you expect to fail for one piece of item from level 6 to plus 7 is 1.6 times. For 5 pieces of armor, you expect to try 9 times. So you probably fail 4 times and succeed the other 5 times. So just in case you guys want to know how many times you expected to fail without using rate ups, this is what you want to see. And just for plus 14 to plus 15 alone, if you're doing 5 pieces of armor, you expect to try 33 times. And this means you succeed 5 times, right? So you expect to fail about 28 times. And this means that the biggest thing that you'll be short on will be lipstones. We'll have a video very soon to show you all the ways to get more lipstones with tier 3. I'm working on that video because I'm still looking for other methods, new islands, and also new tricks and also new tips to get more lipstones. Because as you can see in the cost estimation and also number estimation, it will cost a lot of lipstones. About 300 lipstone for the weapon if you're not using too much rate ups, and about 1,000 of lipstone for the armor. So there will be a lot of lipstones that will be used. Now this number will be lower if you're using rate ups, but still you will need a lot of lipstones, so be prepared for that. Now if you haven't seen our homing guide to get to 1370, the cheapest method, I do recommend coming over and having a look at some of our guides as well. So my method is that I only use untradable materials for the rate ups. I don't buy my tradable ones, I sell my tradable ones to the market. And how I get my untradeable ones is actually buy them from the Mario Secret Shop. So the best deals in the Mario Secret Shop are the Solar Blessing, followed by Solar Grace, and then Solar Protection. And basically I save up 1 to 2 weeks of those materials and I use them for homing. And I usually start homing with my untradeable materials for my weapon. So I start this with +9 to +15. And then for armor, we also have a guide over here in case you guys haven't seen the guide, but definitely check out this guide. We also have a few guides over here to show you step-by-step method to home your gears. So once I get my weapon to +15, the leftover untradeable materials, I'll use them for +13 to 14. And whatever's left, I use them for +15. And by the calculations and also by Excels, this is by far the cheapest method for homing. And basically, I want to share you guys, this is my method of homing. I buy untradeable retail materials from Mario Secret Shop. I sell my tradable ones, and I use the gold I get to buy my other materials like the Destruction Stones and also the Guardian Stones. Now, personally, I do not buy my Lipstones. So I do my daily quests, I do my weekly quests, and I do my boss rush. I do all the ways to get Lipstones. I also buy them from the Mario Secret Shop, but I do not buy Lipstones from the market. So this is one of the reasons I can save up so much gold, and also I make a lot of gold by trading, right? So I will show you guys the trading video very soon. So this is just some of the tips I want to share with you guys of how I approach with 1370 homing. It is a slightly slower because I'm not buying Lipstones, but it's definitely much cheaper and you don't lose too much progress because this method still works very well, and I'll show you guys more videos and also more guides in getting into 1370. It's like a little tongue twister. And finally, if you guys are buying materials for, homing, let's say if you're buying the Guardian Stones, the Destruction Stones, and also the future materials, you can look for price drops during a certain time of the server. So basically after the weekly reset is when the material price will drop. And also after each daily reset, 1 to 2 hours after, or sometimes half hour after. So after those resets, you can buy those materials for cheaper. Now, you do not want to overbuy them, because if you overbuy them, eventually the price will drop again. I think over here you can see the Guardian Stone price is about 25 gold. I bought them around 24 gold and now some of them are 30 gold. I bought the Destruction Stone around 60 gold and now they're 63 gold. Sometimes they will drop after reset, but sometimes they will drop even lower because of new patch update and also players just panic selling. So don't buy too much of them, just buy enough of them so that you can home a few levels. And what we do with the rest of our gold is that I tend to reinvest our gold for profit. I try to make a lot of gold by trading, and in our future videos I'll show you guys how I traded and made about 200,000 gold last week just using those methods of trading. So you can see I had about 400,000 gold the week before and I made about 200,000 gold just by trading different materials. So we'll make those videos very soon. And of course guys, remember it's not over if you fail a lot of times. I failed so many times for my +14 to +15 weapon. I failed 9 times with the retail materials, which I saved up for 2 weeks. And I think our lovely friend Chalia also did a simulation for me. So this is my fail for +15 weapon. So technically and statistically, only 3% of players will be as unlucky as me in failing this number of times. So he even made a simulation. I'll show you guys the simulation as well. So it's so lovely of him. So basically, I just want to show you guys it's okay to be a little unlucky. My luck later turned for homing my armors. So, sometimes you get really unlucky with 1 or 2 pieces of gear and later you will get lucky. The stats and also numbers will balance out. So the numbers over here are the average luck for players. Sometimes you get luckier, so you might over prepare. Sometimes you get unlucky, you might be short on materials. But hopefully this Excel and also some of the tips will help you get to 1370 quicker. Or at least you will know how far you have to prepare and how long you have to save our materials and also gold to have the chance of attempting for +15 for everything. And I think it's really important for you to see those data and also numbers. You can also calculate the gold price over here by using the second 2 tables, which will be predicting the gold price of those items. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, make sure you do so, because we'll be getting a lot of guides, a lot of tips as I discover them, and I love the game. So I want to share as much as I can with you guys, and let's have a great time in Lost Ark as we explore this game and get the most out of it.